In this video, we're going to talk about how to actually grow on YouTube in 2025 and get to a point where you could do $100,000 using this strategy just by making videos. Now, the reason I feel like I'm pretty qualified to talk about this is I've been making YouTube videos for more than half of my life since I was 12 years old. YouTube sent me this plaque right here for hitting over 100,000 subscribers. And across our channels, we've been able to do well over $5 million in cash collected just by making YouTube videos. So what I want to do is cover these three things. Number one is the old versus the new way of building a business on YouTube. Number two is we'll talk about my 7-figure content strategy. And then number three, we'll go over how to turn your viewers into loyal customers, which with YouTube, it's actually way easier than you might think. So first things first, let's just talk about how you can make money on YouTube, right? And there's a couple different ways that you can do so. So we have YouTube money here, right? Is we have really two main ways that you can do it. Number one is you can do kind of the old school way, right? Through like brand deals, through sponsors, and through Google AdSense, right? So basically YouTube gives you money to, or they put advertising in your video and then you get a certain percentage on that. That's actually how I even figured out that you could make money on YouTube. When I was like 14 years old, I had this one video, this went viral, and they sent me this email. They're like, hey, we want to pay you money. And at the time, right, I was 14, they were paying me like $2,000 a month on this like random video that I had made. So I was like, I thought I was rich at the time. I was like, I'm never going to college. This is gonna, go on forever. And I've told my story multiple times, but that was like my first kind of breath. Is that the right word? My first experience, we'll say, in the online space of making money on YouTube. And then, so that's kind of one way you could do it. And then the other way, which I much more prefer and much higher margins and just makes more sense overall, is going to be your own product. Right, so this can be both. This could be digital, which I recommend, or you can do physical products. Right now, think about any of the online influencers that are doing it right. You have people like Logan Paul and KSI. They're doing Prime. If you think about probably any beauty guru out there that's been doing it for a long time, they make beauty brands, right? Whether it's makeup lines or whatever it may be. If it's a fitness influencer, they created fitness, athleisure brands. You have Mr. Beast, right? He, his audience is kids, so he makes chocolate, right? This all makes sense. And then obviously he's going down the line of creating more products, theirs being more physical. But in my opinion, digital is just way easier to scale, especially if you're just a single person. But when you think about it, they just did it the smart way. And instead of, promoting other people's brands and, getting a percentage on these sponsorships or making a couple $1,000s per month from AdSense, is they just cut out that entire middleman. And they're just like, we have the people here, we have the audience. I'm going to create my own product and keep, not keep all the profits, but be much more profitable than going up here. Now, if you're unfamiliar, the digital side, really what we're talking about is selling your knowledge, right? So selling knowledge. There we go. So this could be anything, like let's say you're good at playing guitar. We brought on a client recently, and he's really good at playing guitar, and he really quickly scaled to $20,000 a month selling a guitar course, essentially. I mean, at this point, people know what online courses are, so I don't have to really explain it to you, but these are things that you can package for anywhere from, on the low end, I'd say $1,000. You could go lower than that if you wanted to, but, we're talking about one-on-one mentorship. You have a community and things like that. You can charge anywhere from $1,000 to, $20,000 plus. And, if you're in the space, that's possible. There's even people that are doing it, 50, 60. We have a back-end product that's $70,000. So it really just depends kind of like what the scale that you are. We also have, 90 plus employees. And one of the products that we actually scaled to what the YouTube channel is doing $400,000 a month was a remote closing sales course that we sold for $9,800. And we generated, again, $400K per month, specifically just on YouTube. We were running ads and things like that, but $400,000 per month just by, selling on our YouTube channel. So now you understand the difference between the old and new way. Let's talk about the 7-figure content strategy. The first thing that you want to understand is what is your niche. Now, this is something that I put a lot more emphasis on a couple years ago because I've been doing YouTube for so long. It used to be much easier to grow within a niche. Now I'm finding and seeing the shift that people are less worried about like, oh, I need to focus on this one specific thing, and more like, I want to buy into this specific person. I made this mistake twice, honestly, with this remote closing course, is my entire persona, the entire channel was around sales. And whenever I decided like, oh, maybe I should like pivot away from this, it didn't really work out because everyone they knew me as the remote closing guy. They didn't know me as Aaron. So it was really hard to pivot out of that. So that's why I started this new channel to talk more about YouTube and business and marketing and content creation. And then one of my previous channels that I grew to 160,000 subs, which is where I got this subscriber button from, is that it was around Snapchat, funnily enough. This was back in like 2016. And, you know, I was known as the Snapchat guy. So whenever I tried to pivot into Musical.ly at the time, which is now TikTok, which at the time of watching this, it might not even be a thing anymore. But, you know, when I tried to pivot into TikTok, and it didn't work because people were so deep into Snapchat. So when I say niche, what I'm thinking about and what I'm really referencing is, what are you selling your knowledge about, right? Are you selling a health and wellness course? Are you selling a relationship course? Are you teaching people how to make more money? Are you teaching people how to, get better at business? Whatever the thing is, that's the content that you want to create, but still throwing in some, personal videos here and there. So really the strategy that I like to use, and even this specific video was using this strategy, is all you're gonna do is step one, think about someone else that's in your niche, right? Whether it's, again, you have to pick whatever you're doing, but let's say it's health and wellness, right? I would just say, what is the number one thing that people are looking for when it comes to health? A lot of times they wanna lose weight, they wanna build muscle, like whatever their thing is. So I would just search that specific term. So step one is search on YouTube and see what other people are doing. Then what you need to do is find their outlier videos. So what that means is you want to look for someone that might have like 1K subs, but they have a video that has like 1 million views, right? And that might be a little bit far-fetched. It doesn't have to be, 1K to 1 million. That's not necessarily a formula, like a specific math equation that you do, but you just want to find someone that has subscribers that are kind of low, but in relation to that, even if this was like 50,000, right? Or let's say they have, 20,000 subs, but they get 100,000 views in their videos. Because they're getting more views on that specific video, that is now showing you that the idea and the packaging being the title and thumbnail, those are the things that's proven within that video. And actually an easy way that you can figure this out is you can get a software called vidIQ. We can throw up, some videos and stuff, Renz, if you can find some videos of me going through this. But basically, what happens is it's a Google Chrome plugin, and basically what you do is you can scroll on YouTube, and there'll be like a little thing at the bottom that will say like something X, so like 65X, 100X. What that means is it's a 100X or whatever number it is outlier from what that person's average is. So when you can just find and create videos and more emulate, not copy, right? Emulate the videos that are already doing well, it's gonna make your life a million times easier, which actually brings me here to my next point, which is talking about virality. Virality, or we'll just call it actually our viral formula. So what I'm looking at when it comes to virality, and if you look at any viral videos out there, they all follow this exact same structure. So you have really three main pieces to, like, say, a YouTube video or whatever it may be that goes viral. You have the packaging, right, which is the title, and we'll put T-nail for thumbnail, right? You have plus, and this isn't just like these things are separate, is these all have to be good in order for the video to succeed. So you have the title, thumbnail, you have the idea of the video, and you have the content. So content, what I mean by that is just like the presentation, what's actually going on in the video, the value, a lot of people like to use that word. Now, here's the thing, is we have 3 different things that we need to get right on a video for it to go viral. So if you're thinking about, what's a good idea for this video, right? What should I be talking about? Or, how do I then take that idea and create the right packaging? And then how do I create the right content? The issue is that's a lot of gambling, right? You have to make sure that each of those things are proven. So what we're gonna do is, based on these outliers, what we're gonna do is we're going to ethically borrow, obviously we're taking these ideas and making our own, but you're gonna take the idea from these outliers, right? And you're gonna take the packaging and thumbnail from this idea. Like if you look at the packaging of this video, it's very similar to, I'll throw it on screen. Like the packaging, title, and thumbnail are very similar to other videos that are outliers that are doing well, right? So the thing here is now we can put check marks on these and say, okay, because there's already this outlier of someone that already has proven this idea, the idea is proven, and the title and thumbnail and packaging is good as well. So now all we need to do is focus on making good content, right? And if you are an expert in that space, you should be able to make good content around that. If you can't, then, and when I say good, I mean like valuable, right? The person that's watching it will be able to get something out of watching that video. So what happens here is instead of rolling the dice and hoping this works, rolling the dice and hoping this works, rolling the dice and hoping this works, now you have these two pieces that are already proven. All you need to do is give good content. And by the way, these two things right here, right, the packaging and the idea, are like 99% of the equation, right? If you can get people to, there's two parts of it, right? If you can get people to click the video and then also watch it as long as possible, those two are very important. But just from a sheer view standpoint and getting it out in front of people, these are going to be the most important. Like the content, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. It's just these are definitely more important. I know I just went super deep into those, but just I want to emphasize how important those two pieces are. Now I have a full-on video on this next part here on the channel, but the next part that you need to understand in terms of a viral video or just a YouTube video in general is the scripting. And I love to keep it very simple because it's not rocket science, right? If you watch any video, they all follow some sort of the same structure, but obviously you have the intro at the beginning, or a lot of people call it the hook, which if you're looking for the easiest way to create a good intro and a hook, once you figure out what the packaging is, and it's funny when I explain these things, you're gonna start to watch other people's videos and you're gonna be like, oh, like that's what Aaron said, they're doing exactly what he's mentioning. Is all you're gonna do is the first sentence out of your mouth is gonna be reiterating the title and thumbnail. So for example, this video is how to actually grow a business on YouTube or something along those lines. So the first thing that I said is in this video, we're going to talk about how to actually grow a YouTube channel by doing blah, blah, blah. Or I think it's actually grow your business and hit 100K, right? So that's the first things out of my mouth on this specific YouTube video. Now, I've gone back and forth about this specifically, but a lot of times you want to do your intro and hook. You also want to tease the info. So what that means is just high-level overview, what you're going to cover in the video. Keep in mind, this is very specific to like education-based business-type YouTubers. Like if you're not going to see this exact same structure on like a Mr. Beast video, but he does very similar things, right? He says, I'm giving away $1 million and blah, blah, blah. And later on, you're going to see that this person did this specific thing that, made this big problem, right? It's like he teases the information. And I mean, like, regular YouTube video, or not YouTube videos, like TV shows do this as well. It's like coming up in this episode or what you can expect, so that you have this retention thing of like, well, I need to watch this whole thing because I need to get the information from it. So anyway, you're going to do your intro and your hook. You're going to tease the information, which again, by the way, you can go back into this video and see exactly how I did it. We said in this video, we're going to cover the old way. We're going to cover the 7-figure funnel. We're going to cover blah, 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 right? And then after you tease the information, you are going to obviously jump into the info of the video. And keep in mind, if you click the like somewhere around here, I'd probably put it down in the description below, is I made a whole video around like, I think it's like 30 minutes around my my exact scripting framework. So, click down below or watch that video after this one. So then after you give the info, you're going to do a CTA. Now, specifically for education channels, at some point, and we'll talk about this is the next step here of how you can actually turn these viewers into customers, is your CTA needs to be very quick, straightforward to the point, and then pushing people to whatever your thing is. So that thing we'll cover here in a second, but whether it's a book a call or a specific product or whatever it may be, you want to push them to whatever that thing is. But here's very, very important, is it needs to be benefit rich. So what that means is instead of saying, hey, go down in the link in the description and buy my thing, right? I see people do this all the time. Buy my ebook, buy this, buy that, whatever. It's not benefit rich, right? That's your benefit rich. You need to benefit rich for this specific person. So let's say you're selling a course. I would say, hey, so hopefully this video was helpful. Go ahead and click the first link down in the description below. And there's actually a guide there that you can jump into. That's not only going to help you X, but it's going to help you Y, and then in turn Y. So for example, it could be, if I was doing this YouTube thing, right? It'd be, so click the first link down in the description below, and it's going to bring you to a guide where not only do you not have to waste all your time on YouTube videos that aren't going to work, and most importantly, the time that goes into that, which could be put into somewhere else, I gave you the exact scripting and framework that you can use in order to, generate more subscribers, right? You see how it's more it's more benefit rich of like giving them the idea as to why they should get it versus just saying like, buy my thing. It is much more effective when you focus on being benefit rich first. So now that you understand the old versus the new way, as well as the 7-figure content strategy, let's talk about how you can take these viewers and turn them into loyal customers. So before we talk about the exact strategy of like, okay, here's how we're going to turn these people into people to pay us, basically, is we need to understand a very important concept called flow and then friction. So what this means, and this is a big problem that I see, that should be an N. There's a big problem that I see a lot of people have is whenever they're like, Aaron, I'm posting on YouTube, or, I'm being consistent on social and I'm just not getting anything, right? I'm not getting booked calls or, leads or whatever it may be. And the reason usually, if they're getting a lot of people through, or they have a lot of followers, but they don't have a lot of like bookings or end results, it's because they have too much friction way too early on. So what I mean by that is friction is just the amount of things that you're making your ideal client do before they can actually purchase. So I'll explain this a little bit more as we're going through these different things. So the number one section, or the number one thing that I usually recommend people to start with, is so BAC, which would be a book a call link. Book a call. And what that means is based on that, what we just talked about earlier, whether it's $1,000, to be honest, I might not jump on a phone call for $1,000, but it just depends on what you believe your time to be worth, upwards of 20,000 plus, right? Is what's going to happen is people are going to watch your YouTube videos, right? So they're going to watch your video, and then they are going to go into the link we'll do LID, link in description. So this link in description is going to be one of these 3 to 4 things that we talk about. So what's going to happen is people are going to watch your video. They're going to go down the link in the description, make sure the call to action that you make in the video is congruent with what you're having them do. Now, what I mean by book a call is you can use websites like Calendly, for example. I don't think I spelled Calendly right. Calendly, that's probably not right. But you can use things like Calendly, where you literally have different times that people can jump on a call with you. You essentially have this product in mind. And because you have a YouTube channel, because they have built so much trust with you, a lot of times they're going to be pretty much ready to jump in and buy from you. You just have to walk them through that conversation of like, here's what I can do for you, here's the investment, and then bring them in, onboard them, sign them on as a client, right? I know I'm making that sound very simple, which a lot of times it is with YouTube leads, but I'll make more videos around like the entire sales process down, later on this channel specifically. So the first thing is you want to have, when you first start, right? You don't have a ton of flow in theory from your YouTube channel unless you have like a video that goes massively viral, but you want to start with this. And the reason is because if you start on like, number 2 or number 3 that we're going to talk about, is you're not going to generate as many people through because you're putting too much friction way too early on. So with this, right, let's say you're getting, 1 to 2 calls per week. Right, that's not really a ton, but you will get to a point once you continue to build your audience, is this might get to a point where you're doing, 5 to 10, maybe even 20 per week, which it starts to get to a point where there's too much flow and not enough friction. So there'll be this really natural progression that happens to where what's going to happen is, like I said, you either have too high of volume, which is too many people coming through for you to handle, or you're going to have too low of quality. Like you're talking to people and you're like, I have no idea how they're getting into this funnel. I don't know how they're booking calls. I really can't help this person. So they might, maybe they can't afford it, right? It's going to be way too low quality. So when one of these 2 things happen, your natural progression is going to be into funnel number 2, which is going to be an application. And then that's going to lead them to book a call, right? Book a call. So what happens in this process is that with here, you can use a software. You're still using Calendly for the book a call. You can use a software like Typeform. And basically what you're going to do is this form, you're going to ask a couple of questions, right? You're usually going to ask for name, and you're probably familiar with these types of things, right? Name, phone number, email. And you also can ask things that are going to be specific to the person that you can help reach this specific point. So you can ask, a financial question. Now keep in mind, financial questions are really high on the friction scale, right? These are people, if you're asking, how much are you making per month, right? Or whatever it may be, right? Friction becomes a little bit more difficult. So to be honest, this might be one of the last questions that I add on your, on that. Like if you're trying to disqualify, but you can ask things like, what is your goal with working with me, right? And if it's, weight loss program, what is your goal weight loss, right? If it's a money-making program, how much money do you want to make? If it's a YouTube program, what is your goal with YouTube? And they can, you can change different things to write them out, whatever it may be, but you can add a ton of different questions and just think about what would you want someone to answer to make sure that they're higher quality. So it could be, current situation. Maybe they have to be, at a certain point. Maybe they, have to get their motivation to do it, right? Because maybe they need to be in a specific point to have a ton of pain in order to want to work with you, right? And if we're going through flow versus friction, is all you need to do, if you're just getting more people in this funnel, all you need to do is just add more questions to add more friction so that you get less quantity, more quality, in theory, as they're going through this funnel. And then it will get to a certain point where even this becomes a lot, to where you're getting a lot of people here, even by adding a ton of questions. The next potential step that you can do would be just adding a step. So you're gonna do what is called a video sales letter, right? It's VSL, so video sales letter. And then this would lead down to an application. And then you're still, so as you can see, we're still doing the same things, right? With here, we started with a book a call, and then we just added an application, and now we're adding in a VSL. So again, what we're doing is we're adding more friction so that we can decrease the volume, increase the quality. So all the VSL is, and I can make a whole other video on this as well, but really all the video sales letter does is it sells your specific product, or it sells your specific thing, right? Your methodology and how you do things. So again, if you are a weight loss coach, it sells your methodology. It's just a video on a page. That's basically like a YouTube video that could be 10, 15, 20 minutes long that really just explains your story, why you're doing it, all those types of things. So, if you're already making YouTube videos, basically just think of it as a YouTube video that is going to push them a little bit further down the funnel, and it's going to have a much more direct offer, like towards the end of the video. So that would be, incorporating the VSL, because now what happens is they have to watch the VSL, like everyone that comes through, right? They have to watch the VSL, they have to fill out the application, and they then go in to book a call with you as well. This, by far is going to be, really not the last step, because you can always add more questions and things like that. But really, if we're doing like an optional step 4, what's probably going to happen, because here's the thing, is there's going to be 2 bottlenecks in this specific area. Number 1, it's just going to be getting more flow. And I talk to a lot of people where like they have, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they have that flow, right? It might take a little bit of time to get to that point, depending on how quickly your channel is growing. But number 4 is you would have the option to scale and hire, because it might be the point where you're not necessarily worried about flow. It's just you can't take as many calls that are being booked through, right? Or you can't, let's say you're working with someone, they can't take as many calls that are coming through. So really all it comes down to is hiring more people. So hiring an appointment setter, hiring a closer, hiring someone that can then help you take these calls so that you don't have to spend, because when you start to look at this, especially when the flow gets really high, is naturally you're not going to have enough time of the day to where, okay, number 1, not only are you taking these sales calls, but because you're taking the sales calls and you're onboarding new clients, well, guess what? Now all of your time is spent on fulfilling these clients, not on these sales calls. So natural progression is, if you're looking to, let's say to get to $75, $100, $500,000 a month, is the natural progression of the next logical thing to do would be to hire people to actually help you along that process. So this is the $100,000 per month, or $100,000 or $100,000 per month strategy. If you want a little bit more guidance on exactly how not only I can help you from a content perspective of helping you put together a content strategy, helping you create these different parts of the funnel, as well as a part of our business actually helps you find salespeople, find client success managers so they can hand over fulfillment and all those types of things. I'll leave a link down in the description to learn a little bit more about that if you're open to it. If not, totally fine. Go ahead and click the link on screen or click the video on screen to check out another YouTube video around the exact script to use and how to build out the scripts for these YouTube videos. We'll see you over there.